Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this doesn't work. Let's get open for business. Let's wake up the football gods here as we are literally 135 days, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 15 seconds away from kickoff of the 2019 season. We are 48 hours away from the draft. That's right, the draft. It's hard to believe that already the draft is literally just a couple days away. For me, this is kind of sad because it was a year ago tonight. It was pouring down rain, and I mean pouring down rain, that me, E2 Blue, Nighthawk, or Blackhawk, Foots, and who am I missing? Who am I missing? Oh, the stinking New York Giant fan. I keep wanting to forget him. And Michael Anthony Fitness all hopped in an RV. Well, actually, we waited for Foots. We were trying to leave about 6 o'clock. We finally left about 10:30 at night because Foots, well, he had to stop off and get some extra food to eat, even though we had the vehicle packed with food. But we hit the road from Northern Virginia and drove 1,380 miles to Dallas for the draft. And I got to tell you, that had to be one of the greatest times of my life, to be there with all of those guys talking trash to Rashid, thinking about the draft, hoping that we were going to get the players that were going to make our team that much better, bonding and having a great time. And this is the first time. And I'm trying to remember what year I didn't. I think the first year the draft was in Chicago was the last time I was not at the draft. But I went to my first draft in 2013. Before it was cool. I remember being outside Radio Music Hall when they called Travis Frederick. This is before they had fans that could go into the draft. And it's amazing how much has changed, and I got to be honest, I'm going to miss being there this year. I really am. But with the Cowboys not having a first-round draft pick and, things you got to take care of, I had to go to California earlier this month and help my daughter move and things. You have to take care of things that are more pressing and more important first. And I know it's hard to believe that I'm saying that something's more important than the Dallas Cowboys. I'm kind of surprised I'm saying that myself, too. But here we are. We're going to have a great time. We will be at Lucky's on Thursday starting at 6 o'clock. So any of you guys that, say, man, I want to hang out with you all, we're going to be there at Lucky's from 6 until the end of the draft. So probably 6 to 11, 11:30, maybe even midnight with that first round. I know we don't have any players that we're drafting the first round. At least we don't think we are. Anything can happen. Anything may happen. So by now you all heard that DeMarcus Lawrence deal has been beat by $500,000. And it's kind of funny because it's amazing that when you think about getting paid, the fact that they went for that extra $500,000 is kind of almost comical to me. But it's that whole bragging rights thing for the agent, because I can say, hey, I got you more than DeMarcus Lawrence. Frank Clark can say, hey, D-Law, I'm getting paid more than you are. And that's the way it works. Because some 30 years ago today, happy Troy Aikman Day, because this was the day that the Dallas Cowboys drafted their first pick under Jerry Jones, Troy Aikman. And in 1994, he signed the richest deal in football. Oh my God. People lost their freaking minds. Are you kidding me? Troy Aikman signed for a $50 million contract. $50 million. It was unheard of. Let me give you the details on this thing. 8 years. Troy Aikman was 27 years old. He got $11 million as a signing bonus, with salaries ranging from $1.75 million a year in 94 to $7.5 by 2000. And since that time, the contracts have been doing one thing, and that's going up constantly. See, Had the Dallas Cowboys, instead of franchise tagging DeMarcus Lawrence last year, had went ahead and signed him to a deal, they probably could have gotten him for $16, $17 million a year. Instead, they waited a year, and the price went up to $21 million. And what's going to happen is, because a lot of people said, you know what, make a play on the franchise tag. Screw them. Because guess what? Next year's going to go up even more. And that's why I keep talking about Dak Prescott's contract, that it behooves you to do that thing today in today's dollars, because the next one, Russell Wilson got 35. Big Ben's out there for one. Tom Brady's out there for one. Jared Goff is going to be. Carson Wentz is going to be out there. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to change that market value. And most people thought that Frank Clark's deal was going to go for about 90 to 95 million. Clearly, they thought it was going to be less than DeMarcus Lawrence's, but it wasn't. Now, here's the difference for the Seattle Seahawks versus the Dallas Cowboys, or even when you think about the Raiders. If you believe that you have a team that is ready to challenge for a Super Bowl, if you believe that you have a window of a few years, then you sign a big name player like that. Seattle is looking at it like this, because see, here's what happens, and a lot of people don't get this. When you look at when the Green Bay Packers won a Super Bowl, they had A.J. Hawk, and they had, Clay Matthews and stuff, and this young defense, and all these great younger players. They had a window, and they were just beasts. And then all of a sudden, they start getting old. And it's hard to replace those guys. New England has learned the formula of replacing guys as they get older. They don't let them get old. They just keep replacing young guys. But you see that with Seattle. Seattle, when they had beast mode and they had, the Legion of Boom, those guys had that window. They went to that first Super Bowl and won it. They went to that second one and should have won it, but lost it. But since that time, they've been getting older, and Russell Wilson has been carrying the team. But they don't have enough with just Russell Wilson to challenge for a Super Bowl. And having a lack of draft picks, they looked at this and said, what we need to do is we really need to redo the roster. We need to get younger. So for us to go ahead and sign a big contract for Frank Clark right now doesn't make sense. We're better off getting a number one pick this year, be it almost a second round one, because it's late, and getting a pick then the following year. That's two young players that we can get at a bargain basement price because they're rookies, and go ahead and look at our window 2-3 years down the road. And that's the same thing with the Raiders. The Raiders figured, I'm not going to go ahead and pay Khalil Mack now because we're going to tear apart the roster and start over. And that's why you go ahead and say, okay, let's trade Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper has kind of not really done a whole lot. And if we can get some value for him and get some draft picks, then let's go ahead and do that. So we can get a whole boatload of picks. We can get a whole bunch of guys at the same age and challenge down the road. They're not looking at winning the Super Bowl this year. They're looking 2-3 years down the road. Whereas our Dallas Cowboys, when you look across the board with the Dallas Cowboys, I dare say at almost every position we have a top 10 player. Just not everyone, but you look at offensive tackle. Tyron Smith is truly one of the best in football when he's healthy. Zach Martin, truly one of the best when he's healthy. Even on one leg last year, definitely a top 10. Travis Frederick, if he comes back healthy, he's one of the top 10. I know a lot of you will dispute Dak Prescott being in the top 10, but if he's not, he's pretty damn near close to it. Zeke Elliott, top 10. Jason Witten, maybe a little bit on the outside of that, but then again, I wouldn't bet against that guy. Amari Cooper, definitely top 10. Across the board, you have a lot of talent. So when you look at this team right now, and even on the defense, you got DeMarcus Lawrence. He's definitely a top 10. You could say that Robert Quinn could be a top 10. Jalen Smith, Van Der Esch, those guys are definitely top 10. Byron Jones is top 10. Safety, not yet. But you see, my point being here is you look at this group, which is young, that you've got 2 or 3 years of this group of guys right now that you believe that Zeke Elliott will be good for at least another 3, 4 years. That you say that this team is good enough to be able to challenge and make a deep run to a Super Bowl. So if that's the case, then what you're looking for is holding on to those players that can make a difference. And that's why you see the Raiders looking at maybe getting rid of Derek Carr and getting another quarterback. They're not concerned about this year. They're concerned about getting that group together, that core group that's going to be able to go for that Super Bowl. And that's where Kansas City is right now as well. Kansas City realizes we've got a lights-out offense, but their defense last year was putrid. And you don't want to waste that offensive effort, so they realize, let's make some major moves to go ahead and get some talent on our defense and go from one of the worst ones in the NFL. If we can get to the top 15, we're going to Super Bowl. And that's the mentality of Kansas City. We're not worried about giving up a couple of picks. We're worried about next year. And so that's the dynamic that we're looking at. Now, as far as our Dallas Cowboys, that makes it kind of interesting for us as well. Our philosophy has been in past years, which has kind of changed a bit. We have not gone for big name free agents since Brandon Carr and Greg Hardy. We got burned on those contracts. Well, Brandon Carr was consistent, but Brandon Carr wasn't a shutdown corner like you paid him. The Cowboys have been building a team through the draft and finding guys that other people missed on. And they've done a fantastic job on that. But this year, they look at it and they say, oh my God, we got Dak, who's playing better. We got Amari Cooper. Jason Witten, we know we only got him for a year. We've got all this young talent. Let's see if we can bring in a couple of pieces to go ahead and get us over the hump. And that's why you get a Robert Quinn, because you say, you know what, he's an upgrade over my man can't stay off the weed. You look at a Randall Cobb and say, he's an upgrade over Cole Beasley. And so that philosophy may translate into the draft. If there's a player that the Dallas Cowboys, and Dallas Cowboys are fantastic at picking guys, they very rarely miss. If there's a guy on the board that's coming late in that first round or early in that second round that they believe can be a difference maker, can be a Van Der Esch, it won't surprise me if the Cowboys say, you know what, we'll take a pick from next year and we'll package it up and we'll move up to try and grab that guy. It all depends on how the draft falls. But if a great safety or a great defensive lineman is still there at 58, they're not doing it. So I have no idea what they're going to do. The only people that know what they're going to do, well, that's Will McClay, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and I guess they're going to let Jason Garrett know. I just wish we were actually going to be there. I'm having regrets now of not making that trip now. I really wish we were going. But, hey, it is what it is. But we're going to have a ball. Hope you guys will come out to Lucky's, hang out with us and stuff, get on camera with us, give us your thoughts and things. I'll set up a separate mic and camera so that way we can have the fan cam. So you can have a seat. You can talk to us about what you think is going on with the Cowboys, and we'll go from there. But as always, guys, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, and subscribing. It's going to be a busy week. Hope you guys hold on to your hats because we're going to be there with you.